And now, live from Level 5 Productions on the island of Milleronia, it's The Larry Miller Show. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and everyone who loves taking their kids to the airport. Hi, folks, and welcome back to the Larry Miller Show. I'm Larry Miller, but in a way, aren't we all? And boy, oh boy, is it ever beautiful here today. It's a great day. And the Colonel and I are not on Milleronia, and there's a reason for that. And it's because, well, coming up in a few days, I'm going to be taking one of our kids to the airport. And I'll tell you about that later and why that's so wonderful. And, but boy, oh boy, and as always, the music makes me feel so good. And the same with Colonel Jeff, that, of course, that's the Dave Osborne Orchestra and the Martha Ruggles Bernard Dancers, featuring boy tenor Mike Lucking, asking the musical question, when TVs are smart enough to sense our level of interest and change the channel, will we all wind up watching the Green Woman dancing in Star Trek? First of all, yes. Yes, Mike. Yes, and yes, and just yes. Mike, you always send us terrific questions, and do you know what? You might just have hit here on the greatest sexual moment in all of show business history. And let's be honest, we all know something about show business history. But that's just on Star Trek. There's a reason, by the way, I love Star Trek, and I love the Captain Kirk Star Trek, the William Shatner Star Trek. Yes, I'm lucky enough. I've worked with him several times on that show Boston Legal, and I just dug him so much. Even when the camera was on him, I was just standing there grinning, looking at him, just 2 feet away, thinking, I'm working with William Shatner. And at any rate, though, there's one of those, two of those episodes, when Captain Kirk goes down to the planet with, the usual guys, Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy, and a new guy who's definitely going to get killed. Colonel Jeff and I have said that before on the show. There's always, all right, Bones, you come with us and make sure you have all the equipment, and Mr. Spock, yeah, you come with us too, and we need, let's see, Johnson, you, over there, in the red shirt. You come down too. Are you sure, sir? I was gonna meet with the dance committee for the ball. No, you're coming down with us, because Johnson knew that. First of all, you get a name like Johnson. Come on, just come on, and you know that. All right, Johnson, go around that big rock there and see if there are any flowers that poof powder into your face. But at any rate, all that aside, and I love all that anyway, and fighting monsters, but there were people who tried to con Captain Kirk. There were evil planet guys who tried to make him think, either through hypnosis or just showing him things. And one was the gorgeous Green Woman dancing at their dinner. They're all lying on the floor. They're on pillows, and it's a pretty old Middle Eastern kind of harem setup. Well, not a harem. She was the only woman, I think. But boy, she does that dance, and I'm telling you, yes, Mike, you hit it. That's one of the greatest moments in show business to me. She does a dance that's a holy mackerel dance. Never mind the dance of the seven veils. Forget the seven veils. She didn't need them. She was wearing kind of a two-piece thing, a bikini thing. That was probably green, too. And they painted her all green as if she's a green woman. And they were supposed to be like the best in sex in all the universe, which is some pretty good competition, I would think, by the way. If you get the blue ribbon in the entire universe, well, you got to be doing something, right? Don't you? But boy, she does it, that dance. I can't remember, does she have little finger symbols but she doesn't even, she's doing something, just touching her fingers with castanets or something. And of course she's she's looking right at Captain Kirk. She wants Captain Kirk because he has the blue ribbon in other ways, too. I don't know what they are, never mind, but she does. And boy, oh boy. So, Mike, you hit it. Yes, when TVs are smart enough to sense our level of interest and change the channel, will we all wind up watching the Green Woman dancing in Star Trek? Yes. If you haven't seen her, you'll like it. Watch it. And man or woman, it doesn't matter. Even women watching her would have to say she's all right. I mean, there's the reason she got the blue ribbon. And maybe they gave her a green ribbon. But boy, oh boy. Good one, Mike. And I mentioned the Dave Osborne Orchestra there. And that's remembering and in the name of Super Dave Osborne. And the wonderful actor and comedian who played him and so many others, the great Bob Einstein, who passed away just a few days ago. And he was, God bless him, what a talented guy. 6'4", 6'5", and I guess, a good-looking guy. I'm not the best judge of who's a good-looking guy. I think Colonel Jeff and I are really good-looking guys, But Bob Einstein, God bless him, he was so funny and he was so cool to know I was telling Colonel Jeff, I ran into him in a car dealership, a Cadillac dealership, and in the area here, and he was in one of the little salesman offices there buying a car. So you can see they got forms all over the desk there, and of course the salesman, understandably, just wants to sell the car. He's not looking for two friends to say hi to each other. He's saying to himself, let's move this along before he changes his mind. But he was sitting there, and I saw him, and I just stood in the doorway and said, hi, Bob. And he said, oh, hi, Larry, what's up? And I said, well, everything's okay. I liked him so much, I didn't want to leave the doorway. That's how really cool he was, and how naturally funny he was. So I really had to say to myself, after about 30 seconds or a minute, okay, Larry, leave. Time to say goodbye. And let this guy sell him a car. So at any rate, Bob, you're always great. And I bet you still are. And by the Larry Miller Store. That's right, the Larry Miller Store. I didn't even have to underline that. I'm Larry Miller. You don't have to say, that's right, the Larry Miller Store. But folks, we have a great store. And to get there, by the way, you go to our website, which is LarryMillerPodcast.com. Who's on the Mountain? Tom Mix. Oh, forgive me. I should have had the fish. But you know something? I don't know why I love saying that. The oldest joke in history, maybe. And it just tickles me. I hope some of you too. At any rate, the Larry Miller Store, there's a banner there on our website. Go to the Larry Miller Store. We have great things to buy. Great things, great gifts. It's got great stuff. And the T-shirts are just terrific. Keep Calm and Larry on one of them. And so please go there and do that. It'll make us very happy if you buy a bunch of things. And by the way, what better time than after all major holidays to go out and buy something? In any case, do that, folks. Go to the Larry Miller Store, and we'll be glad you did. And that brings me to my favorite part of the show, and it's called The Joke of the Week. This is a good one, too. I just remembered it as we were sitting here, and I said to Colonel Jeff, hey, one just popped into my head, and he liked it. We both like it, and I hope you do, too. It's in the middle of World War II, around 1943, and in the heart of Berlin there, in a pub, in a restaurant, a grill, that's, well, right there where everything is. There's two Jewish rebels come in, and they'd escaped from concentration camps, and they were dressed as German workers, and they came in, walked up to the bar there, and ordered a couple of beers, and to look around. They were very successful, and they had really come to, well, after escaping from those camps, and they were blowing up bridges and blowing up trains and really, blowing up train tracks, and they were really and killing a lot of Nazis. And they were doing a heck of a job. And they're standing at the bar there, and it's a Tuesday night. It's about 8 o'clock, and they're just about to, order dinner there. And they're not working that night, so they need to relax. And suddenly the door opens, they glance over, and who walks in? Hitler. Adolf Hitler walks right in there, and he's got 4 of his generals with them in uniform and 2 bodyguards, and they walk up 3 or 4 steps into another little area there. That's where all the tables are. And these 2 rebels, the 2 Jewish guys, just glance at each other and they can't believe it. That's him. It's Hitler. And the bartender's standing right there, and he chuckles a little and says to them, "You have the same look everyone has." Says, "Yes, that's him. That's the Führer. That's Hitler." And he comes in here every Tuesday at 8 and to have dinner with his men. And we're glad he does. But your look of surprise is always interesting. And the two fellows just nod. They're a little shocked by all this, and they can't quite handle what's going on. And they finish their beers and walk out. They're not even armed. They didn't know they were going to see something this astonishing. So comes next Tuesday, and as the bartender said, well, they might as well check this out. And next Tuesday, it's 7:45. They go back into the same place, walk up to the same bar, order another beer, and standing there, and sure enough, at 8 o'clock on the dot, the doors open, same thing. In walks Adolf Hitler, 4 generals, 2 bodyguards, and they go up to the few steps to the same table and sit down there and get rid of and everyone just flutters around them, and they're so happy. And then they're getting ready to order their dinner. And now, the 2 rebels are still at the bar. Now they look at each other. The bartender laughs again. "I told you, every Tuesday, 8 o'clock, on the dot." And they do again. They smile and they walk out again. And now they go to the little hovel in a tenement that they've been using as their house, as their base. And they look at each other and they say to each other, "Well, we've got to kill him. That's that. It doesn't matter what happens to us. Those other fellows will probably get us, but we have to go right up there with our pistols and empty them into that so-and-so and just kill Hitler right there next Tuesday at 8. And there's not even a discussion. There's, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should do this. They both realize, yes, of course, that's what we're doing. So next Tuesday comes, and it's 7:45, and, the 2 Jewish rebels walk into the place, and they also go up the few steps to the eating area where there are tables all around. And they grab another table, and they order their dinner, waiting for Adolf Hitler. And there it comes. It's 5 to 8, and 7:58, 7:59, 8 o'clock. This is it. And nothing happens. No one comes in. They're a little thrown. That's 8 o'clock, and they look at each other. 8:01, 8:02, no Hitler. Nobody. And now it's 8:05, 8:07, 8:08, 8:10, 8:12, and finally one of the Jews turns to the other one and says, "Gee, I hope nothing happened to him." I hope you like that one. Colonel Jeff and I got a kick out of it. It's one of those great jokes that's a little silly, and suddenly, they're not 2 really successful, tough rebels. It's 2 guys from Brooklyn in 1950. Gee, I hope nothing happened to them. Anyway, folks, as always, if you like that, pass it on and keep good jokes alive. Pass it on to your family and loved ones and friends. And that brings me to my second favorite part of the show, the Poetry Corner. And there's a reason I mentioned before that the dancers were Martha Ruggles Bernhard dancers. And that's the woman who was the wife of the author of this poem coming up. And the author is John Updike, who was, a great American novelist. He lived from 1932 to 2009. And probably his most famous work is his series of the Harry Rabbit Angstrom books like Rabbit Run, Rabbit Redux, Rabbit is Rich, and Rabbit at Rest. He did so much, and he wrote this poem, and I'm happy to read it to you now. It's called January by John Updike. The days are short, the sun a spark, hung thin between the dark and dark. Fat, snowy footsteps track the floor. Milk bottles burst outside the door. The river is a frozen place held still beneath the trees of lace. The sky is low, the wind is gray. The radiator purrs all day. Isn't that nice? A look through John Updike's eyes at January. Boy, I loved also when poems written decades and decades ago, he talks about the milk bottles bursting outside the door. Oh, that's right. Well, wait a minute. That's right. Sure, I remember when I was a little kid, we got milk delivered too in the milk box outside the door. And you'd get 1 or 2 quarts and you'd get whatever you want, some butter and, or cream or buttermilk or something like that, in the milk box, which was tin or metal and covered up. But thinking about, how do you like that? That's right. On a really cold day in the winter, well, they would burst. It was that cold. So folks were kind of used to that. But it's a nice image to think of for a poem like that. Thank you, John, and thank you, Martha Ruggles Bernhard. And that brings me to my third favorite part of the show. MMM, the Magic Movie Moment. My favorite piano note. All right, now this is a terrific movie, and there are so many movies that have Rio in them. There's Rio Bravo and Rio. Oh. Now I can't even think of them. There are so many movies there and Rio Grande and so many different things. And this is a great one. From 1959, Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks. What a wonderful director. Starring John Wayne, Walter Brennan, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, Ward Bond, Claude Akins, and Angie Dickinson. Boy, oh boy, this might have been her first movie. She was 18 years old when she shot this. And a terrific actress and gorgeous. And it's a terrific movie. So much fun and tells a really serious story in its plot of how to keep a prisoner and where his brother is going to try and break him out. And Ricky Nelson is one of the greatest names in moviedom. I love character names, but Colorado Jones, it's just one of those. And they use it in the movie. Well, tell me, Colorado, what are you doing here now? And but it seems to work. It just works fine for me, and I think it works fine for all of us. You don't think to yourself, what a knuckleheaded name. No, they had names like that. And a lot of times guys would take the name or get the name of where they were from. That's where you get guys like, hey, Tex. Well, where's he from? Well, where do you think? Texas. And, but this is a terrific movie, folks. And there's great drama in it. And also, Well, there's great comedy in it. Walter Brennan, what a great actor. And he was just terrific with John Wayne and everything they did together. And, well, Dean Martin was always great. And there's a scene where they're in the sheriff's office there, and, well, who do you think the sheriff is? That's John Wayne. And they're waiting for this to happen to see if they're going to get attacked in the office there, but they're all in there, meaning, well, John Wayne, Walter Brennan, Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, and they're waiting. And Dean Martin sings a song that Ricky Nelson plays guitar on, and was that part of the reason he was in the movie to sing? Sure, of course. Why not, though? In those days, well, Ricky Nelson is a big star. He was probably 18, too. And the song is called My Rifle, My Pony, and Me. And it's a great song, and it's pretty, and it's talking about a cowboy's wishes and what he wants. Well, my rifle, my pony, and me. And they sing it there. Dean Martin sings it. And the way it's shot, the way Howard Hawks does this, is just right. There's Walter Brennan bobbing his head to the music and on a close-up, and with a smile, he's happy because it's a nice moment as a break from the danger all around them. And everyone else, the same thing. John Wayne is nodding and rolls himself a cigarette and takes a hit off it and sits there. And you know what, folks? That, to me, is a real magic movie moment. In the middle of great drama, they can sing a song like that, and all the characters get a 5 or 10 minute break that they really need. So see that movie if you haven't. I've seen it, Lord, many times, but it's worth it every time. It has one of the greatest last lines of any movie I know. I don't want to ruin it for you just by saying the line. But I will tell you it involves Dean Martin and Walter Brennan on patrol after the great drama is done. And John Wayne is upstairs in a hotel room with Angie Dickinson, and they care about each other. They already love each other. And when I say up there, I don't mean they're in bed together, pawing each other. I mean they're up there, and he gets her to take off a garter she's wearing, because that's a little too low grade for him. And he does that and tosses it out the window, and it lands right at the feet of Dean Martin and Walter Brennan. In any case, see the movie, and I think you'll feel the same way I do. And you know something? To feel good like that means the world. And because every so often, maybe you're like me on this, things happen in the street, and when you're driving or in a supermarket, and you keep thinking, what's wrong with people? Why did this guy just do that? Why did she just do that? And you know what? Something happened to me just yesterday that has happened 50 times. It happens, it seems to me, and maybe it's happened to you. It has to have happened to you. I'm on a street here, right in our neighborhood, and it's 2 lanes, one way, one the other way, and then there's parking on either side of each lane. It goes it's apartment houses and low ones, 2 floors, 3 floors, and as I'm on there, there's a guy who's tailgating me. And I can't tell you how many times this has happened. Now, there's no traffic on this street. It's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I'm doing what I always do, which is go the speed limit. So I'm doing 35. Not good enough for him. Okay? And he's a youngish fella, 30s or 40s, and he's got a fancy black car, a Mercedes, and 35 is not fast enough for him. So he comes up to me, and he's right on me, and he's tailgating me, And I don't like that anyway. You wouldn't like that anyway. And I did what I always do. I put my blinkers on to go to the right and just pulled over to where the parking cars are and let him go by, which he does. He scoots right by. He roars by. I don't know where he thinks he's going, but he roars by. And there was no one behind him. So I just put my blinker on the other way and check the mirrors. And, then I go back out onto the same road, going the same way, right behind him. But obviously it's not my nature to, what am I going to do now, tailgate him? That's not what happens. But folks, what happened was, and this happens not sometimes, not a lot of the time, every single time. This guy's now in front because he had to roar past me. I'm behind him. And as we're going, there are 5 or 6 traffic lights, at the regular spaces of a traffic light. And every single one, this guy is stopped at the red light and I'm right behind him. You must know this feeling. This must have happened to you. Now all right, thank God, you don't get outraged. You're not going to go, grab an axe out of your trunk if you have one and start smashing his windows. But every single light, he's there and at the red light in front of me. And then I just come up behind him and that's how we went down the road together. And I can't tell you how often that's happened. And that lives in that what's wrong with people world. Because this has also been a very happy, joyous time. One of our kids has been home from college. He's in college and he flew home. He's been home a while, 3-4 weeks in between the interterm. And boy, it's just been great. He's been home. Every day has been fabulous. Now, I'm not exaggerating by saying that. What do you mean fabulous? Well, he's gone out most nights, and in fact, he just came in while we were taping here just to wave goodbye, and I just made sure he has enough money, and for gas, he borrows my car, and which is fine, which is great. I'm always up when he comes home to say good night. And I like doing that. And he's told me before, you don't have to wait up. And I know that. Sometimes he's home a little late, 1 or 2, or sometimes even 3. And he always goes to the same place. A friend of his house has a house there, and 2 or 3 of the other fellows are there. They all knew each other from high school. But I'm telling you, that's fabulous. How is that not wonderful? Because that's the kind of thing that means the most to me. And I hope it means the most to you, that the dogs both love him and they wait for him too. And they curl up on his bed when he's watching something on his laptop. But they're great. They look like, 2 carved dogs on a building. And they sit there at the foot of the bed, just the paws out. They look like 2 sphinxes. And I love it. And he always comes into our bedroom just before going out, or this time down here to the studio at Stately Miller Manor. And we just take a break for a few seconds. I can hold his hand for just a couple of seconds, which means the world to me. And again, I'm not exaggerating. It means the world to me. If you said, supposing instead of that, you could be out at a fancy restaurant with just a bucket of gin and a giant steak being delivered to your table, wouldn't you rather do that? No, I wouldn't. I don't even know what that means. No, I want to be here when he comes in to say goodnight, and when I can say, okay, drive safely, I'll see you later. That means the world. And it's fun to have fun with a kid you care about that much. Our other son, as I've mentioned before, is deployed. He's a Marine, and I love him so much I can't stand it. And it's the same with my wife, his mom. We just love the kids. And he and I, by the way, he and my wife went to a movie tonight while we were getting ready to record. And that meant that when they got home again, I got to smile at both of them again. And we could take a tiny break, not just in the recording, but we hadn't started yet, but where my wife can say hi to Colonel Jeff and joke around about this and that. And then I can smile with them and then see my son and then he'll say, okay, I'm going to head out now. I'm just going to go up and wash up. Good. Okay, great. They had a good time at the movie. And you know what? And he and I, a few weeks ago, went to see a play together. My wife saw it with her sister who was down here visiting us. And boy, they loved it. And I don't want to tell you the name of the play. So my kid and I went there and we got good tickets. And, it's hard to tell with theaters anyway. The tickets, they're about 20 rows up or something, or 25 rows up, which are fine. They're right in the middle of the house. But, at that point, you still can't see anything. I don't know about you, but you want to say, so is that guy smiling or is his tongue sticking out? But you know what? The truth is, it was, the play was so bad. Why am I whispering now? It's not a secret. But it really was. We didn't like it at all. And when intermission came, we just walked out the few feet onto the side there into a lobby-type area. There's a bathroom, so we went to use the bathroom, washed up, and came back out. And, we both said, I looked at him, and he said, can we get out of here now? And I said, I know. Mommy got us the seats, and we paid for this and that, and I hate to just run. And, and I said, but I'm with you. I don't like a second of this. And I said, so we made a deal. I said, I'll tell you what, let's just go back inside for the start of intermission. And after a minute or two, if it's just the same or even worse, we'll just, I'll look at you, you look at me, and we'll leave. Which is what we did. We left. It was the second act was, well, I thought even worse than the first, and so did he. And we weren't being overcritical. I mean, we just said, all right, let's get out of here. So we did. And that's a good time, by the way. You don't want to leave things like a big play. But if you do, that's a great time to go to the parking lot because it's a building that has like 7 or 8 floors. But you're not in a crowd of people going to their cars, just you going to your car. And when you get in your car, well, there's no traffic jam trying to get to the exit ramp. It's just you going to the exit ramp. So that worked out fine. And when we got home, it's funny, my wife said, wow, so you had a good night. What'd you think? And my kid and I had already arranged to say the truth. Which means, that, in other words, that he was great. And you know what? And she said, wasn't he? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And so it didn't quite need to come out that, by the way, if you notice, we're home really early. But that's the way it is. Well, we weren't hiding anything, and we told her that night and just, I didn't care for it, really. But how wonderful to do that with your kid who's home. So he's flying back to school on Saturday, and I get to drive him to the airport, which I also just love. It's another moment like that in life. Well, is that a chore? No. Is that annoying? No. What's wrong with a ride to the airport? He puts his bag in the trunk, and you get in there smiling, and I tell him, if you want, just to put the seat back there and take a snooze, and he doesn't need to do that, and just he can put some music on if he wants, or we can just chat a little bit. Folks, there is nothing better in the world. Once again, the fanciest restaurant on a big fancy island where you have your own, mansion? Would that be any better? No, it wouldn't be at all, and I know that, and you know it too. Because we know the same things. Homer is Homer, and Pluto is a planet. So remember, folks, as always, if you walked out of bed today and had a job to go to and a home to come back to and someone there who cares about you, folks, the game's over and you've won. Remember that. And you know what? Drive someone to the airport. We'll see you next time.